So on Thursday, I went to see Rocky IV, Rocky vs. Drago, the ultimate director's cut. It was a one-time screening event. I'm glad I stuck around because at the very end of the end credits, something else incredible happened, and I'll talk about that after these awesome opening titles. Yo, let's get ready to rumble! So right off the boxing glove bat, I will say this much. This is a very different Rocky movie. It's like, I don't remember the original film being like this at all. In fact, the original film is like, Stallone said it himself, that it feels like it's a montage of various clips and put together. But I will say there is a long montage in this movie. I'm not talking about those iconic Vince DiCola's scored sporting training montages. There's like a montage where Stallone is driving in his car and all his memories, all his flashbacks he's getting just come back to him. And that goes on for like 3 minutes. And they're playing that, there's no easy way out, there's no shortcut home. The main thing that I liked about this cut, it feels more like Cobra Kai in boxing. Now, the original Rocky IV, okay, it did have that Cobra Kai feeling about it, but it really portrayed Drago as an ultimate bad guy. That's it, he's nothing else. And what I liked is Stallone went back into the studio, got all the unused footage.
Let's be realistic. The Russian, he has not yet had one legitimate professional fight. The bout he had with Creed was a publicity stunt.
And he's put together a film that feels a lot more fast-paced. Like, the editing is really well done, but everything moves at a real helter-skelter pace. Before you can catch your breath, it's like, whoa, we're here already? It's just, it's insane. Talia Shire as Adrian. She gets a lot more screen time here, really good. As I said in the previous reaction, she is the rock, she is the pivot that keeps Rocky and the whole thing together. There's a really moving scene where they're just having this debate on the staircase about why he needs to go and fight, why he needs to get revenge for the death of Apollo Creed. And I'll tell you what, the way we see Apollo Creed, you kind of know what's going to happen, but the way they do it here, you kind of feel the foreboding is more terrifying. A scene that I believe was never in the original Rocky IV is the funeral of Creed. And Stallone, man, you know, people always mock him for his acting ability, and the dude can act. Seriously, the guy can act. He gives this very short eulogy, but man, I had a little bit of a tear coming down. It was so moving, because like when you hear the words he has to say about his friend, it kind of comes back to you like, oh my God, yes, Apollo Creed really did do that. And it's a really great piece of acting, man. And like everybody in the audience was just really hush hush, super quiet. All cell phones are off, and it's like nobody giggled, nobody laughed. I've had that experience before with Terminator 1 when I went to watch a retro screening of it, and people are kind of giggling at the love scene between Kyle and Sarah Connor. That I understand because that is cornball cheesy, but here it's just played out differently, and I love that. As I said at the beginning of this video, there was a surprise at the end of this film because the film felt short anyway. It was like just under an hour and a half, but then they had this segment where Bill Mankiewicz, now he's a presenter for the Turner Classic Network channel, and it's like him and Sly shooting the shit for like 15 minutes about how this director's cut came to fruition, and it's a really good back and forth. Stallone, you can tell he's kind of getting a little bit old because throughout the interview he's rubbing his knees quite a lot, so I think the impact of heavyweight training over the years, doing his action roles, it's slowly taking a toll on him. So hopefully he's taking his cod liver oil and probably wearing knee wraps around those limbs to keep them in place. And look, it's Stallone, he's got money, I'm sure he can get that treated. But one of the nuggets he dropped was the original casting choices for Rocky when it first started out. I was dumbfounded, man, because I even said this in my reaction review. Now, who was going to play Adrian originally? Well, you're not going to believe this. Bette Midler. He wanted Bette Midler. You know, at the time, Bette Midler was like this crazy comedian, singer, whatever she was, actress. She had a kind of really unstable personality, which I think would have lent itself well to the role. But you know, Rocky's the Italian stallion. Yeah, I couldn't see him and Bette Midler being a match, but it was interesting he thought of her. Now the second choice was Cher. I can kind of see that somehow, but again, Cher, you know, she was still a singer with Sonny Bono, so I couldn't really see her transitioning from that and to becoming an actress so earlier on. I don't know if Cher acted in the 70s. I know she kind of came into her own in the 80s with films like Mask, but honestly, the third choice, interesting choice, Susan Sarandon. Hey look, 70s Sarandon, hot. Susan Sarandon in her 70s, still hot. So either way, it's fine by me. But the reason why they didn't cast her is because she was just too glamorous, too attractive, which kind of makes sense. I get it. And then apparently in the end, Carl Weathers and Talia Shire both walked in more or less at the same time to audition, and they both got the parts, and that was great. But guess who was going to be the original choice for Paulie? Harvey Keitel. Can you imagine that? Wow, that would have been...
Who the fuck are you kidding? You're not the mafia. You're not even Rodney Little. You're a skinny-ass snake motherfucker.
I don't think Harvey would have taken the role because he was just ingrained into being this really kind of off-kilter actor. I mean, he was in Mean Streets. You know, he was in Taxi Driver. So whether you could make that kind of smooth transition into being a light comedic role, he would have been a great choice, actually. I mean, nothing against Burt Young, because Burt Young did a fantastic job as Paulie. That's who we always think of as Paulie. But Harvey Keitel, man, if I had a time machine, I can go back to 1974. I'll be in the writing room with Stallone and say, Stallone, hey, you know, you might want to consider Harvey Keitel. Now, the other golden nugget that Stallone dropped, which I thought was pretty awesome, is potentially it could happen, is he's working on a 1960s TV series featuring younger versions of Adrian, Rocky, Paulie, and Apollo Creed. So for some reason, with Apollo Creed, it will be that he'll probably meet him somewhere, but they don't know each other. Like Apollo's like this young up-and-coming boxer, and he kind of meets Rocky somewhere, maybe acknowledges him, but then, you know, you're gonna have like Adrian still been trying to be courted by Rocky back in those days, and you'd have like a 60s backdrop of great fashion music, you know, when everything was politically a different climate back then. Now, Stallone actually acknowledged Cobra Kai because of the success of that and how Johnny wasn't the villain in the end, which I agree with completely. You know, you took a character like Johnny Lawrence and you make him so likable. And for the record, Cobra Kai was a much better series when it was a YouTube Originals program. Now it's under Netflix. Ugh, are they going to bring in today's woke politics into that show? Not so far. It kind of happened a little bit in the third season, but if they kind of keep on track and make it as good as it is, like I've always said, if something ain't broke, don't fix it. So folks, that's just been my quick oversight, my quick overview for Rocky IV, Rocky vs. Drago, the ultimate director's cut. I think it will be streamed on Amazon Prime at some point, and I hope that it will get a physical media release eventually. It deserves to, because MGM, they can smell that cha-ching. These one-off screenings all over the world have done really, really well from what I've been told, and I'm really excited. I'm glad I got to see it. It felt like 1985 again, but in a new setting of a cinema. And you know, cinemas back in the 80s, they were a lot more dirty and grotty, which I loved, and they kind of had that musky smell. Now, when you walk in here, it's just like the smell of popcorn and whatever else. Popcorn in Cineworld, by the way, it still sucks. They still give it to you bone dry. No liquid butter to spurt on top. So yeah, I'm done with buying cinema concessions because it's too expensive. A Coke and a popcorn was like nearly £10 or $12 in your money, Yankees. So on that one, folks, if you enjoyed this review today, do give it a like, do give it a thumbs up, do hit that bell notification icon for when I upload a brand new video, and I'll see you later.
I must break you.
今イヴァンとラゴは大きいバルバラ対して